I remember, because I was young enough, and you guys are not old enough to remember this, but I was young enough or old enough to remember Nixon and Watergate. And my dad was one of the people who were like, they're just out to get him. They're just out to get him. And he's not going to resign. He shouldn't resign. And then the facts started coming out and the tide changed, and now the Republicans were starting to say, you're in bad shape, buddy. And that's when he resigned.
Could you argue that the circumstances under Nixon's resignation was like, presidents have done so much far worse things since then and gotten away with it? Like when you look at Obama and the things that the scandals he covered and got away with.
Wouldn't we like to say, even if this is wrong reasons for the press, wouldn't we like to be able to say that we stand for principles and we're leading the way, not because of the press, but because of our principles?
Yeah, Bob Corker's spoken up, and that's why he's getting so much attention, the Republican out of Tennessee, on the not intelligence, but foreign policy committee. He said that this is in total disorder and that Trump needs to have a strategy moving forward. Because again, there's no strategy moving forward right now because it's so reactionary. And it's wholly dependent upon what happens next. That's where the strategy is. And what Bob Corker, which I'm so grateful for his strong words, is he's got to get his act in order.
You want a president. Here's what's weird. America wants a president that's just taking care of business, is not on television all the time, not in our lives. That is the exact opposite of what President Trump wants for himself. He wants to be on television all the time. Whether it's good or bad, he wants to be on television.
Which is why he'll never resign. He loves the attention. He loves all of it, and he wants to be the president that leads us into war. I truly believe that.
So then the only thing we can do is just sit down with our principles, put our foot down, and weather the storm until he decides to do either or.
But are we going to believe all of this? It all seems like the perfect storm. Of course they're going to say Korea did it, because that gives justification to go into Korea. And now we've got Russia with all this intelligence information that they're going to use against us, and now we've justified going to war with Russia.
Well, we shall see.
Yesterday, there was an article called "Voting for Conservative Policies Does Not Enable Donald Trump." So it's talking about this notion of enabling him has evolved now, that even if you want to vote for a conservative policy, if it's something the president is for, then you're automatically sort of in the bad guy camp, you know.
Can I tell you something though? Isn't this what anybody who stood up against this president, you know, during the election, isn't that what we said? Conservative and Trump are going to become one, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And being a conservative, being a constitutionalist is not Donald Trump, but the press wants to make it that.
Yeah, I think what you saw, especially with Ben Sasse and then Mike Pence to a large degree, they've continually delineated Republican Party, conservative principles, and then Christian character. So,
can I ask you a question though on Mike Pence? What is Mike Pence doing? I mean, he was treated like Hillary Clinton last week, where Hillary Clinton, you know, she had to go into Bill and say, was there a dress or anything that I need to know about? And he's like, oh, sweetheart, never. You know what this is? Vast right-wing conspiracy. She goes out for 6 months and is defending that. And I remember thinking at the time when he finally says, okay, I did it. I remember thinking she should go out just like in a regal fashion. She should walk out at night. She should have a press conference on the other side of the fence, and she should say, I want you to hear me carefully. I am a wife. I am a mother. He is still my husband, and quite honestly, he treated me like no woman should be treated, and I will not tolerate it. Now, are we going to get back together or not? That's for us to decide. I also want you to know he's my president. I trust him. She would have done that. She would have taken control of her relationship, and she would have been the most powerful woman on the planet forever. Mike Pence had the same thing happen to him. Go out there and tell him I just did this with the FBI because they told me what to do. And then 2 days later, after he's like, no, it had nothing to do with Russia. What? Why didn't Pence come in and say, excuse me, did you just lie to me? You told me to go out and do that? Why am I, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about Mike Pence because I know that a lot of conservatives sort of use him as the justification for, all right, I'm going to pull the lever for Trump because Mike Pence, he helps balance the force,
If those people actually believed that, they should be the first standing in line and writing Mike Pence a letter saying, demand this president resign.
Absolutely, because I have questions about him because of that. It's like, if he's all the things that you say he is conservatively, why did he sign up with Donald Trump of all people?
Yes.
So there are a couple instances where he's doing kind of like your scenario, what Hillary Clinton could have done relative to the kind of Lewinsky scandal. So last week, the expansion of the Mexico City policy relative to pro-life, Donald Trump is going to expand that, and he was the one that came out and championed that, Mike Pence. And then also earlier last week, relative to persecuted Christians across the world, that he was the one speaking on behalf of the administration. So it does appear as though Mike Pence is trying to create himself his own little niche within the administration. But like you said, he's also being kind of hung out to dry relative to this Comey scheme.
Here's the question, because you're in that situation. You're Mike Pence. You're McMaster. And good God, man, this guy is out of control. He's not listening to anybody. He's at least kind of listening to me. Do you sit there for as long as you possibly can? Because the minute you turn on him, he's not listening to you. And who's he going to get? Grimace from McDonald's? I mean, I don't think he'd even go with the clown. He'd just go with Grimace because he can't talk. I mean, who does he go with?
I don't think he's listening to him now. I mean, to me, Pence is playing the perfect little pawn of a vice president. It's like he learned how to do it from TV, where the VP is just kind of pushed away and he doesn't really do anything. So I don't think he's listening to him now. And I think Pence is really showing us what he's made of, which is obviously not much. He should be standing up to him, and he's not.
I mean, if you look at just the election of 2016, a lot of Republicans ended up voting for Trump because the thought of Hillary or the fear of Hillary kept them from being able to support either a third-party candidate or her. And now I think they're just continuing to say the same thing of, well, he's better than Hillary. Well, Trump is better than whatever else that next scenario.
He's not better than Pence.
So
He's not better than Pence. Pence would be a better president right now.
I
He
agree.
would have been better than Hillary. He's not better than Pence.
Now's his opportunity to show that.
Yes.
He's just sitting there and making more of a mockery of
And here's the
everything.
problem: when we get up to 2018 for the next election, I think people are going to be so mad. We're already, Jason, seeing violence against Republicans.
I started looking into this when we were looking at the Keith Olbermann thing. I was like, we're just a few months into this presidency, and they're already calling basically for revolution, for nations to attack us. And then I saw in that same light where there's reports coming out after congressmen are going to their districts and trying to sell the new health care, that they're being there's a Tennessee woman that actually chased her congressman down after that town hall, ran him off the road, and threatened him. And then this is happening all over the country. There was a Huffington Post article written by Michelangelo Signorile, who said, this is a quote from a HuffPo article, "It's time to move beyond polite protests within specified boundaries. It's time to escalate the expression of our outrage and our anger in a massive way." Good gosh.
wow.
And where is the media? When they made such a big deal out of peaceful families with their children making signs and standing in the mall in Washington, D.C.
The same media who was later, calling occupiers the people who were crapping on cop cars, raping people, with drug problems and all that stuff, with public destruction, heroes.
See-
Time was making them people of the person of the year.
Well, they have to make
That's what they're doing.
They have to make money. They have to have ratings, and there are a lot less ratings in the woman from Tennessee than the
you know
train
what?
wreck that's Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, I don't accept that. I mean, if the camera can look at my office. If you turn around, you see my office is covered in black now, because those are all boards that all have mapping and strategy. I'm trying to do some strategy for our companies, and trying to figure out, it's a new world. It's a new world. And I just wrote our company's 10 commandments, and number 10 is always do the right thing.